What's going on YouTube? It's Mike here. Today guys, in this video, I'm going to be recapping Apple's iPad and iMac October 2014 event. So today, October 16th, 2014, Apple held their event at their campus in Cupertino, California, at the Apple headquarters, where they announced just a few new products. Not as crazy as last month's iPhone 6 announcement, but there were a few announcements, and it's kind of exciting, kind of not exciting. I think last month's was really exciting, but I'm not going to dole this one out. This was still a really nice announcement. It was cool to see Apple update their stuff yet again, and that ranges from the iPad line, as well as the iMac line and other stuff like that. And I'm going to get into all of it today in this video. Alright, so we're going to switch it off to my desktop over here, and as you can see, we are on Apple's landing page where it says iPad Air 2, changes in the air. And I think the iPad Air 2 was one of their highlight products at this event. They actually announced a slew of new stuff. Aside from the iPad Air 2, they also went ahead and introduced the iPad Mini 3, which I'll get into in a little bit. They introduced an iMac with a Retina 5K display, which is insane. They also talked about the release of OS X Yosemite and a ton of other little tidbits here and there. So before everything, we're going to jump into the iPads. Apple introduced two new iPads today. That is the second generation iPad Air and the third generation iPad Mini. And unusually, Apple actually put numbers on the end of the iPads this time, dubbing them the iPad Air 2 and the iPad Mini 3. That's the sixth generation regular-sized iPad and third generation mini-sized iPad. So we're first going to get into the iPad Air 2, which is actually really cool. We saw a little bit of a design change. There's no more ringer switch on the side, as you can see there, and I'll get to that in a little bit of detail. It's actually a bit thinner, and it's a lot lighter too, which is really nice to see. And you can probably tell it's also got the Touch ID sensor, which is pretty exciting to see. Basically, it's 18% thinner, it's 6.1 millimeters thin, and it weighs just 0.96 of a pound, which is insane. It's just so capable, you won't want to put it down. So thin and light, you won't have to. It still packs the 9.7-inch Retina display at 2048 by 1536, and that's 3.1 million pixels at 264 pixels per inch. So overall, it seems to be a pretty nice tablet. They also gave it the A8X chip, which is 64-bit architecture, and that's just a little level up from the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. From last month, got the A8 chip. So this iPad here is the iPad Air 2 is the most powerful iOS device that Apple has out right now, or is going to release quite soon. And like I said, it includes the Touch ID fingerprint sensor, which was a nice thing to see, considering Apple Pay is going to be added to the iPad Air 2, as well as the iPad Mini 3. It's just they're not going to be having the NFC capabilities that the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus will have. Instead, they'll just be able to do in-store payments and stuff like that online. They also added some more camera features to the iPad Air 2, giving it burst mode and slow-mo video, which is pretty cool to see, and faster wireless, and there's just some other stuff and specs there. As you can see, we'll get into the gist of it and the tech specs. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go right here to compare iPad models, because it actually turns out the iPad Mini upgrade is extremely small, and you'll see why in a minute. Before we get into both of them, you can see they've now added the gold color option, which I don't know why they didn't add last year to begin with. I guess they were still working on it. But anyways, you can now see not only do they come in just silver and space gray, but they've also included gold. Interestingly enough, the iPad Air 2 is the only one to receive the new thinner design, and the iPad Mini 3 is still slugging back with the older design. And I was kind of disappointed to see this. I was hoping that they'd give the iPad Mini 3 the new design, make it a little thinner, get rid of that mute switch and stuff like that, but unfortunately they did not do that this time around, which is very disappointing to me. Now, in terms of both the iPad Air 2 and iPad Mini 3, you could also see the entire lineup here. They pulled the iPad 4. They're still selling the iPad Mini first generation, surprisingly. They're selling the iPad Mini with Retina display, which they've dubbed the iPad Mini 2. They're also still selling the iPad Air. So when we get breaking down into the gigabytes down here, you can see they did exactly what they did with the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. It's 16, 64, and 128 gig options, of course, starting at $499 for the iPad Air 2 Wi-Fi and $399 for the 16 gig Wi-Fi for the iPad Mini 3. And just about everything stays the same in terms of specs. As a matter of fact, unfortunately, again, the iPad Mini 3 kept the same exact chip and coprocessor chip as what was packed into the iPad Mini 2. And the iPad Air 2 got the biggest upgrade with the A8X chip and the M8 coprocessor chip that was packed into the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. However, this processor is going to be even faster than what you have on both iPhone 6s. And I told you about the extra burst mode and slow-mo video available on the iPad Air 2, and both the iPad Air 2 and iPad Mini 3, again, come in gold, and they both have received Touch ID sensors on the home buttons. And one thing I want to add about the iPad Mini 3, this is such a small upgrade, the iPad Mini 3, that they've actually only included Touch ID and gold. Seriously, that is the only upgrade, and if you're not getting gold, all you're getting is Touch ID. It's the same exact processor. It's the same exact everything. Nothing has changed about the iPad Mini 3. No burst mode, no slow-mo. All you'd be getting is Touch ID and the gold color option. Therefore, I have actually decided not to purchase the iPad Mini 3 this year. I feel like it's nowhere near a substantial upgrade enough for me to upgrade, and instead, I'm going to be getting the iPad Air 2, which is a much thinner design, comes in gold, includes Touch ID, has some new camera features, and stuff like that. It makes more sense, and I'm pretty excited to upgrade my iPad size too. For the last 2 years, I've had both iPad Minis, but this time we're going to be switching it up. I think I'm going to go with this iPad Air 2. Now, the iPad Air 2 and iPad Mini 3 orders begin October 17th, which happens to be tomorrow. It'll kick in at exactly 3 a.m. Eastern time and 12 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we're unsure of a release date at this time, at least of me making this video. It's nowhere to be seen. It could be next Friday, it could be next month, it could be on Monday. No one is really sure right now what the shipping times are, but you can put your specs together on this page kind of like you would with the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus just before they started pre-orders. You can figure out which device you actually want to get. So you can go check that out. Again, pre-orders start tomorrow, but I don't know when they're shipping. I don't think anybody knows when they're shipping. But when the orders are placed, obviously, we'll most likely find out. So now I want to move away from iPads and get into the iMac with the Retina 5K display. So we've had Retina screens on Macs for quite some time now. As a matter of fact, it'd be the middle of 2012 with the introduction of the 13-inch Retina MacBook Pro. As you know, we now have the 15-inch as well, and finally they've invited went ahead and invited the Retina display to the iMac line. With a few exceptions, of course. Now, first of all, it has 14.7 million pixels, and that's why it's not 4K, but 5K, so it's even more substantial than 5K. So when you see this, you are going to be absolutely blown away. It should be crazy. I really cannot wait to look at this in person. It really should be something else. I'm really excited to actually see it. So it's actually available online right now for $2,500. From what I know, there's only one configuration. However, I could be wrong. Okay, yeah, there's only one configuration right now, and it says available for pickup coming soon. But you can actually buy it right now, and it'll ship within 1 to 3 business days. They are available. Again, it's $2,500. It comes with 3.5 gigahertz of quad-core Intel i5 processor. Kind of disappointed to not see a processor higher than that. I guess quad-core is good, but still, maybe i7 would have been nice. It's got 8 gigs RAM, 1 terabyte Fusion drive, and all that good stuff you can see right there. And so, yeah, so it was interesting. I guess that's what Apple was trying to say. It's been way too long with the whole iMac thing. I'm not really sure what that invitation leaned towards. I guess a Mac update. It's been too long since they've went ahead and updated the Mac's display. And yeah, that would be the case. And again, this is only the 27-inch. This isn't for the 21.5-inch, which they're still selling, by the way, is 21.5-inch and the 27-inch as well. And this is the newest one right here with the Retina display. So they're still selling the old 27 inches and the old 21.5 inches. Eventually, I do think it's all going to go Retina, and the same eventually go for the MacBook Air and so on. Now, the Mac Mini also got a very, very small update. As a matter of fact, I'm not even 100% positive on what the update was. However, I do know that they went ahead and dropped the price of the baseline, which is now, instead of $600, $500. So if you're on a budget, the Mac Mini, all you got to do is hook it up to a couple monitors, and you're set. You have the Mac experience for $500. It's pretty good. On top of all of this, Apple released OS X Yosemite to the public finally. I've had OS X Yosemite since June of this year when it was announced at WWDC. As you could tell from my dock, I have the Yosemite look, and I'm also using the dark mode UI. And so they finally released it today. It's out of beta. Anybody can download it for free from the Mac App Store. I definitely recommend it. It's one of the nicest operating systems Apple's ever put out. It's real smooth, and I love some of the new features, and I'm excited to have it. So definitely go grab it. It's free. It's totally worth it. I recommend it. And yeah, so they finally gave us a release date, which happened to be today, and that was good to hear. And lastly, we got some information on Apple Pay and iOS 8.1 following that. So the final information is that iOS 8.1 will be releasing this Monday, October 20th, 2014, and it will bring Apple Pay to the iPhone 6, the iPhone 6 Plus, and both iPads and, well, any previous generation that is compatible of making payments in store, online for that matter. And the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus will be able to do it in actual physical stores, which is pretty cool. So still says coming in October down here. However, there is a release date, and again, that is October 20th. iOS 8.1 will be a free update that you'll be able to download and get, so you can use Apple Pay or any of the new features packed into that as well. So be looking out for that. But anyways, guys, thank you for watching. That is my recap of Apple's October 2014 keynote event. If you guys like this video, please be sure to leave some comments below on your thoughts. Of course, give this video a thumbs up and click the subscribe button below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.